we were talking about the school that you're working on and the one that you also are working on. I wonder if, my quick question is, are you comparing notes on what you both like to get out of those, just out of curiosity, and how will you know you've done it as far as getting kids familiar with coding, getting them up to certain performance levels? How do you personally measure success, both of you?
Start, Susan.
We measure success very simply in our school systems by comparing the outcome, the assessment of the kid on an international scale. And as long as we, on average, do better than the best country or region in the world, Shanghai happens to be the premier example today, Finland was a couple of years ago, as long as your kids on average are doing better than those kids, we think we're doing okay. So it's a quantitative measure. You look at other measures. A typical kid that graduates from our high school has taken somewhere between 10 to 11 AP courses, which means they end up going into, but they're kind of mid-sophomore year at college. From a college credit standpoint, 100% of them go off to college if that suits them. You measure outcomes on that basis.
Yeah, for us, the great thing about computer science is that there's lots of ways to get to answers, but there's always answers, right? And so you can see whether a kid can program or not program. You can see, the way they progress. It's funny. Recently we've been talking about the school. And by the way, it's not open. We're building it right now, and it's interesting. How do you build a history curriculum with computer science as a foundation for the projects that these kids are going to work on? The interesting thing is as I think about the school, as we're building the school, I look at it more as an incubator than I do as a school. Like, what intellectual property do you think we're going to be able to create in a school, right? What programs might come out of this? What applications might come out of this? What businesses might come out of a high school? That's going to be to talk about raising expectations, right? It's not a high school degree. It's what have you contributed? What problem are you trying to solve? So there's ways that you can measure, do assessments to talk about knowledge, but there's also ways that you can physically see somebody create something.
Again, the fun thing Tommy and I are doing separately, these are alternative forms of education. And there are lots of different ways to get to the final answer. And even when you have a set of standards, Common Core standards, it's not appropriate to think that those standards are confining in any way to the teacher and what the teacher can do in the classroom. Those standards, and we have in our schools, he's going to have in his school, are basically, these are the things we expect kids to be able to do when they graduate. Mm-hmm. These are the things we expect them to be able to do in solving problems. Now, what the teacher does in the classroom, you give lots of flexibility to. It's not, you don't have to fit this exact form and do this in the exact same way. He's going to do it by coding. Mm-hmm. Great Hearts, another great charter school system, and has a Socratic method, no technology and discussion, and that's how they educate kids. Basis, we do something different. But these are all different forms of flexibility for the child and for the teachers.
That's critical, right? So we're doing something unique. We're actually hiring a principal and teachers a year before the school opens. And we're going to say, here's the stuff, good luck, right? And go build it, right? And so we're going to give teachers that opportunity to actually build out the curriculum with computer scientists and all this other stuff. But that's the way we're going to do this. It's that autonomy piece. I mean, I always say this, I have a lot of flexibility and autonomy in my job at Google, but imagine Google said, I'm going to double your salary, but here's your script, right? This is what you're going to say for the rest of the time you ever do a presentation. I'd be out of there in a second. No wonder we can't hire, the best people in education, because we're giving them these scripts and we're giving them this pre-prescribed stuff that they have to do, as opposed to saying, you're an adult, you've just been educated, here's what we want you to do, here are the measures, the outcomes that we want to get to, help us figure out how to get there.
I'm so glad you both raised the idea of teacher creativity, because if the teachers can't bring their passions to it,
sure,
how are they going to ignite the young minds in the room?
Right.
That makes intuitive sense even to somebody like me,
right,
who generally is the dumbest person in the room.
Right. Well, you mentioned math, and because I was sitting there thinking I was terrible at math until I got to 9th grade, horrible at math, and then a 9th grade teacher who had math tattooed on his forehead, like was the wizard, and I say brought me inside the matrix of math and showed me the magic of math in a completely different way, and that changed the game for me, and that's absolutely the critical component, is that passion that teachers have to have, and give them the opportunity to reflect that in their classrooms.